Well, hello, Mrs. Claus. How are you?
Hello. I'm a little tired. It's that time of the year, but I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
You look amazing for being tired. I absolutely am so excited you guys came here to HHC into Baldwinsville. I
Oh, no problem.
I hear Santa Claus is on his way. Is he close by?
Well, he had to go out and check on the elves and the reindeer, and you know how Santa gets. He likes to talk. So I don't know. Oh, wait, I think he's coming.
Whoa.
Oh,
You know those little elves, they're so tricky, they were hiding the deer on me. I couldn't find a reindeer.
oh, they do that every time.
No, they just don't know who they're messing with.
Come here.
I'm busy. Come on, woman. Where are we? Oh, hi there, Joey.
Santa Claus, how are you?
I'm ready. I mean, I have one night a year, tomorrow night.
That's right. It's your busiest night of the year, isn't it?
Oh, it's wonderful. What a beautiful tree you have, and
Thank you.
joy, and love all that. Mrs. Claus is trying to keep me out of trouble, you know. Those darn elves, they just keep trying to trick the old guy.
You know, that's what I say too, Sienna, because I think I've been really good. So I'm not sure what's on my list for you this year. If you have anything bad, I'm blaming it on the kids and the dog, right? Like I've been good.
I saw a list that said you were good, but the list came from you, so I gotta be a little suspect.
That is true. That is
Gotta
true.
get documentation.
I hope the boys and girls out there are getting ready because we got a lot of nice things planned for them. So we'll be out. I heard NORAD is gonna scan the skies and they'll know where I am at all times.
Absolutely. There's
Can I get one of those?
Yeah, I don't want you to know where I am at all times. Come on now. The old guy gotta, fluff it up a little bit here.
Mrs. Claus, I will send it to you, Mrs. Claus, so you know where Santa Claus is at all times.
Don't you think she's just the cutest little Mrs. Claus?
She is. She absolutely is. Oh my goodness. So,
Someday I'll figure out what her first name is. I won't call her Mrs. all the time. I'm just joking.
oh my goodness, you two are too funny. So, I hear that you have some stories for the children of Baldwinsville this year.
This is the rumor. We do. We're always loaded with good stories. Our bags are loaded with toys and goodies, and we're loaded with stories.
Well, there's so many memories.
Oh, we just got good. This
So many.
is a nice story that Mrs. picked out. It's a real good story for kids, about doing nice thing for other kids.
And
So,
what's the story called, Mrs. Claus?
It's just about a little girl, little Piccola.
Little Pickle?
Little Piccola.
Oh, Little Pickle. Cool. I've never heard of that story, so I'm excited to hear it.
well, Noel, why don't you just tell them the story about our little friend in Italy?
Well, you have to help me because you were there. Are you talking about Piccola?
Yes, Piccola.
Okay, she's such a sweet little girl.
Yes, she is. Oh, ho, ho.
Okay, I'll start. Piccola lived in Italy, where the oranges grow and the sun shines warm and bright all year. Not like central New York, but all year, nice and warm. I suppose you think Piccola was a strange name for a little girl, but in her country it wasn't strange. Her mother thought it was the sweetest name for a little girl ever.
Piccola had no father, no big brother or sister, and no sweet baby to play with. End of life. She had her mother. They lived all alone in an old stone house that was on a dark, narrow street. They were very poor, and the mother was away from home almost every day, washing clothes, scrubbing floors, and working hard to earn money for her little girl and herself. They knew God would take care of them, but as long as they were able, they had to do their share.
Piccola was alone most of the day. And if she had not been a very happy, contented little child, I hardly know what she would have done. She had no playthings except for a heap of stones in the backyard that she used for building houses, and a very old, ragged little doll that her mother had found in the street one day. But there was a small round hole in the stone wall at the back of her yard, and her greatest pleasure was to look through that into the neighbor's yard.
When she stood on a stone and she put her eyes close to the hole, she could see the green grass in the garden and smell the sweet flowers and even hear the water splashing in the fountain.
She had never seen anybody walking in that garden, for it belonged to an old gentleman who didn't care about flowers and grass. But one autumn day, her mother told her that the old gentleman went away and he rented his house to a family with little American children who had come with their sick mother to spend the winter in Italy. Remember?
I remember that.
Hmm.
After this, Piccolo was never lonely, for all day long the children ran and played and danced and sang in the garden. It was several weeks before they saw Piccolo at all. And I'm not sure they would ever have done so, except one day the kitten got away, and in chasing her, they came close to the wall and saw Piccolo's black eyes looking through the hole in the stones.
They were a little frightened at first and didn't speak to her, but the next day she was there again. And Rose, the oldest girl, went up to the wall and talked to her for a little while. When the children found that she had no one to play with and was very lonely, they talked to her every day and often brought her fruits and candies and passed them through that little hole in the wall. One day they even pushed the kitten through, but the hole was hardly large enough for her, and she meowed and scratched, and she was really frightened.
I can understand that.
Yeah.
After that, the little boy said he would ask his father if the hole could be made larger, so Piccolo could come in and play with them. The father found out that Piccolo's mother was a good woman and that the little girl herself was sweet and kind.
She was.
So he was very glad to have some of the stone broken away and an opening made for Piccolo to come in and play with his children.
Piccolo was so thankful, and oh, how excited she was, and how glad the children were when she first stepped into that garden. She wore her best dress, a long, bright colored red dress with a white apron. Round her neck, she had a string of beads, and on her feet were little wooden shoes. It would seem very strange to us, would it not? Wooden shoes? But that's what they had. Piccola and her mother had never worn anything else and never had extra money to buy stockings.
Piccolo almost always ran about barefooted, like the kitten and the chickens and the little ducks. What a good time they had that day, and how glad Piccolo's mother was that her little girl could have such a pleasant, safe place to play while she was away at work.
By and by, December came, and the little Americans began to talk about Christmas. One day when Piccola's curly head and bright eyes came peeping through that hole in the wall, they ran to her and helped her in. And as they did so, they all asked her at once what she thought she would have for a Christmas present. A Christmas present, said Piccola. Why, what's that? All the children looked surprised at this, and Rose said rather gravely, Dear Piccola, don't you know what Christmas is? Oh, yes. Piccola knew it was a happy day when the baby Christ was born. She had been to church on that day, and she heard the beautiful singing and had seen the picture of that babe lying in the manger with cattle and sheep sleeping round about.
Oh, yes, she knew that very well, but what was a Christmas present? Can you imagine? Not even having any idea? Then the children began to laugh and to answer her all at once. There was such a clatter of noise that Piccola could only hear a few of the words once in a while, such as chimney, stockings, reindeer, Christmas Eve, candies and toys, and Santa Claus. Ho, ho, ho! I knew I'd creep in there somewhere.
Piccola put her hands over her ears and she said, I can't understand one word. So she asked Rose, would she help her? So Rose told her all about jolly Santa Claus with your red cheeks and your white beard and your fur coat, and about your reindeer and the elves. Every Christmas Eve, said Rose, Santa comes down the chimney and fills the stockings of all the good children. So Piccola, you hang up your stocking, and who knows what beautiful Christmas gifts you'll get on Christmas morning.
Of course, Piccola thought this was a delightful plan and was very pleased to hear about it. Then all the children told her of every Christmas Eve they could remember and of all the presents they had received. She went home thinking of nothing but dolls and hoops and balls and ribbons and marbles and wagons and kites.
Piccola told her mother about Santa Claus, and her mother seemed to think that perhaps he didn't know there was a little girl in the house, and very likely he wouldn't come at all. But Piccola was very sure that Santa Claus would remember her, for her little friends promised to send a letter up the chimney to remind him. Christmas Eve came. Piccola's mother hurried home from her work. They had their little supper of soup and bread, and soon it was bedtime. Time to get ready for Santa Claus. But then Piccola remembered. For the first time, the children told her she must hang up her stocking, but she didn't have any. and neither did her mother. How sad she was, remember?
Very sad.
Santa would
I was sad.
Yeah, Santa would come and she thought you'd be disappointed if there wasn't any place for you to leave her present. The poor little girl stood by the fireplace and big tears began to run down her cheeks.
Just then her mother called and said, "Hurry, Piccola, it's time to come to bed." What should she do? Well, she stopped crying and she tried to think. And in a moment, she remembered her wooden shoes, which some places you put outside the door for Christmas presents. He ran off to get one of them. She put it as close to the chimney as she could and said to herself, "Surely Santa Claus will know what it's there for. He'll know I hadn't had any stockings, so I put out my shoe instead." And she went off very happily to bed, said her prayers, and was asleep almost as soon as she nestled close to Mom.
The sun had only just began to shine the next morning when she woke up. With one jump, she was out on the floor, running toward the chimney. The wooden shoe was lying where she left it, but you couldn't guess what Santa left in that shoe.
I could.
You could.
I could.
No, but Shelley couldn't.
Shelley couldn't.
Shelley couldn't. No,
She'll know soon.
she's in suspense.
She's going to know now.
I am.
Piccola had not meant to wake up her mother, but this surprise was more than any little girl could bear and yet be quiet. So she danced to the bed with the shoe in her hand, calling, "Mother, Mother, look, see the present Santa brought me."
Her mother raised her head, looked into the shoe. "Why, Piccola, a little chimney swallow nesting in your shoe.
Good,
What a good Santa Claus to bring you a bird."
good Santa Claus, dear Santa Claus, cried Piccola. And she kissed her mother, she kissed the bird, she even threw kisses up that chimney to God. She was so happy.
When the birdling was taken out of the shoe, they found he could not even try to fly, only to hop around the room. And as they looked closer, they could see one of his wings was damaged.
But the mother bound it up carefully so it didn't hurt him. And ever so gently, he took a little drink of water from a cup and even ate crumbs and seeds out of Piccola's hands.
She was a proud little girl when she took her Christmas present to show the children. Naturally, she wanted to share it with them.
Of course.
They were in the garden. They had a great many gifts. Dolls that could say, "Mama," bright picture books, trains of cars, toy pianos, but not one of their playthings was alive like Piccola's birdling. They were as pleased as she was.
Rose hunted around the house until she found a large wicker cage that belonged to a blackbird she once had. She gave that cage to Piccola, and the swallow seemed to make himself right at home in it and sat on the perch, winking his bright eyes to the children.
Kind of like you did to me when we were first going out.
Oh,
Yeah.
Santa.
Rose had saved a bag of candy for Piccola. When she went home at last with the cage and her dear swallow safely tucked inside it, I know there was not a happier little girl in the whole country of Italy.
You just love making children happy, don't you, Santa?
I sure do, Noel. I sure do.
And you don't mind getting the cookies and milk and other goodies
Oh,
in there, do you?
oh, no.
No.
That's my pay. That's nice.
Yeah, you work hard.
I know. Well, what'd you think of that story, Shelley?
That was an amazing story. And you two told it so well. I've never heard that story before. So very
Yeah. Just one of the stops Santa made.
Now,
well. Nice thing, Santa. I don't know if you thought about this. You probably did, but the fact that she was given an animal, that's a constant companion for her because she needed that.
the other toys will break and stuff, and that bird will be there forever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he knows.
You want a bird?
No. I do not. Santa, one year you brought a bunny. You did bring a bunny. Yeah. So
Hey,
thanks. Thanks.
I've checked the records. I think I could find that. Yeah.
That is a beautiful story. We did have a couple people comment that the kids are watching. So it's nice that they get to see you before Christmas Eve to hear the stories and stuff. So
Well, there's a rumor that when I come into the village, there's a landing place for me downtown. You know anything about that?
I heard that. I heard that the person who has that building put a tree up there to try and make it. It's a flat surface. You should be able to land right there.
Oh,
Yeah.
you're always thinking about the old guy, You got to talk to my elves. Them straightened out.
They've been giving you a hard time. I heard those elves.
Every year about this time, they just get so worn out and tired and goofy.
They get silly.
They get silly.
They get silly.
And
Yep.
Christmas Eve is what it's all about. So,
Yeah. And we have cookies here for you, Santa.
oh, ho, ho, ho.
Oh,
Whoa, 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 my belly needs a little filling.
Maybe I'll ride with you.
Maybe you'll ride with me.
Well, you know what? I'll put some to the side, Mrs. Claus, and write your name on them. So that way you know that they're coming.
I appreciate
Watch
that.
out for those little stinky elves sneaking in and grabbing them though. Hey, what do you think we should tell Shelley about, Christmas Eve?
Well, I was curious about what happens the night before Christmas with you, Santa. I've never actually heard what happens or what you do that evening, because I know it's a busy night for you.
Very busy, very
Yeah.
busy.
The night before Christmas,
Yeah.
always busy. Yeah. And once he takes off,
What do you do, Mrs. Claus, when he takes off?
when he takes off, I usually in my recliner, lean back and just sip my cocoa.
He likes her cocoa. Free cocoa.
I can relate to that. I love cocoa with the marshmallows in it, right? Do you like marshmallows?
Whipped cream.
Mhm.
See, after
Yeah.
Christmas, I kind of cut back the hair and the beard a little bit. It's easier to drink hot. I don't get the hot chocolate all over my beard stuff.
I'm impressed by how pearly white you are. You know, your mustache, your beard, your hair. It's very impressive.
You know how hard it is to take care of long hair.
I do.
The night before Christmas, all through the house, not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. The stockings were hung by the chimney with care in hopes that St. Nicholas soon would be there.
The children were all nestled all snug in their beds with visions of sugar plums dancing in their heads. Mama in her kerchief and Papa in his cap had just settled down their brains for a long winter's nap.
When out on the lawn there arose such a clatter, they sprang from their bed to see what was the matter. Away to the window they flew like a flash. They tore open the shutters and threw up the sash.
The moon on the breast of the new fallen snow gave the luster of midday to objects below. When in, what to their wondering eyes should appear but a toy-filled sleigh? Hey, magnificent reindeer.
With a little old driver so lively and quick, they knew in a moment it must be St. Nick. More rapid than eagles, his coursers they came, and he whistled and shouted, and you called him by name.
Now Dasher, now Dancer, now Prancer and Vixen, on Comet, on Cupid, on Donner and Blitzen, to the top of the porch, to the top of the wall. Now dash away, dash away, dash away all.
As dry leaves that before the wild hurricane fly. When they meet with an obstacle, they mount to the sky. So up to the housetop, the coursers they flew with a sleigh full of toys and St. Nicholas too. And then in a twinkling, they heard on the roof the prancing and pawing of each little hoof. As they turned their heads and were turning around, down the chimney, St. Nicholas came with a bound.
I was dressed all in fur, kind of like today, from my head to my foot, and all my clothes were all tarnished with ashes and soot. A bundle of toys I had flung on my back. I looked like a peddler just opening my pack.
Oh, your eyes, how they twinkled. Your dimples, how merry. Your cheeks were like roses. Your nose like a cherry. Your droll little mouth turned up like a bow. And the beard of your chin was as white as snow.
The stamp of my pipe I held tight in my mouth, and the smoke encircled my head like a wreath. I had a broad face and a round belly, let's be nice. It shakes when I laugh, like a bowl full of jelly, ho!
Oh, you're chubby and plump, a right jolly old elf. And I laugh when I see him in spite of myself. A wink of his eye and a twist of his head soon gave them to know there was nothing to dread. He spoke not a word, but went straight to work and filled all those stockings, then turned with a jerk. And laying his finger aside of his nose and giving a nod, up the chimney he rose.
I sprang to my sleigh, and my team gave a whistle, and away we all flew like the down of a thistle.
But they heard you exclaim, ere you drove out of sight,
Happy Christmas to all,
and to all a good night.
And that's the night before Christmas.
That's how it goes.
That's how your night before Christmas goes, Santa. That is wonderful. So
Wow. We saved that just for you, Shelley.
thank you. Thank you. In the village of Baldwinsville and the town of Lysander and Van Buren, we are so happy that you're going to be visiting us tomorrow night.
Oh, we'll be here. Just keep the wind down a little bit. Don't want it too windy.
No.
A little snow doesn't hurt for the landings. And all the kids get to bed early, so if I don't have to wait around for them to go to bed.
Yeah, we like the snow. We don't like the mud puddles. We don't like the mud puddles, the splashing. I work all year to get this like this.
Well, that's all. I just hope, we know how wonderful the village of Baldwinsville has been. They take care of people that need things, and Santa Claus just knows that's the spirit of Christmas. And so I'm happy to come to Baldwinsville tomorrow night and visit all the little kids and even some of their parents, probably. I'll be good to some of them. And I'd be happy to clean up the cookies that you leave. And try not, now your dog won't bother me, will he?
Well, I'm not gonna say Spencer's on the nice list. He might be on the naughty list, but he can be good for 24 hours. So we'll see what happens.
Well, I just want to just say to everybody, Merry Christmas,
everybody.
have a great Christmas, and thank you for looking out for those that needed a little extra looking out.
And remember, happy birthday, Jesus.
Happy birthday.
Nice, very nice. Well, thank you both for coming and being part of the Baldwinsville community. And we are excited to see what you bring us all tomorrow night.
Take
Bye,
care.
bye, Mrs. Claus.
Bye-bye.
Merry Christmas.